Hello everybody, it is the month of October, and you know what that means.
Pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice, yes, pumpkin spice.
Fall foliage.
Ooh, yes, that's another good one.
More pumpkin spice.
Everywhere you go. But the most important thing about October is that the end of the month is marked with Halloween. Woo! So, we decided for this episode of Sprite Lovers that each of us are going to pick 5 games that we think just fit Halloween, whether they're scary
or zombie related.
Yeah, you know, stuff that just fits.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get started on this video, and we hope you enjoy our little excursion for the holidays.
Throw in a few tricks or treats along the way.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start with one of my favorite scary titles, and while I may do air quotes for scary, I want to make one thing clear about how I play horror games and scary games. I think a lot of people go in as if it's like a challenge, and they're like, oh, I'm going to play this scary game and I'll tough it out. But I feel like if you do that, then you're kind of selling the idea short, you know? Like, what I try to do when I'm playing a scary game is just immerse myself. I turn off the lights. I try to buy into the world as much as I can. Even if it's not scary, for real scary, like, at least we'll let it get to me. I'll let every little sound get to me.
You're brave. I'm not quite. Every other game I'll get immersed in. Scary games, I don't know, scary games are the only things that can really scare me. Movies don't, books don't, but something about playing a game that's scary, like some of the ones we're going to talk about in a little bit, nope.
Yeah, so
leave that up to this guy.
Yep, so I'm going to start with what I think is an all-time classic, and there's plenty of games in this series, but I'm going to talk about Silent Hill, and I want to talk about the first one, because clunky PlayStation 1 graphics aside, this one just really nails the atmosphere for with the graphics that they have and everything, using the limitations of the system. It had fog, because a lot of games in this area, remember, had pop-up and everything like that with the graphics, because they didn't have very far draw distance. But the fog gave this really nice atmosphere this game had throughout it. And because it was on CD audio, the music and the way music was used in this game really helped the tension of the scenes and stuff.
I definitely agree. I unfortunately haven't played any of those games. Eventually I'll muster up the courage to do so. But from what I've seen, it's incredible. I mean, I've watched you play a couple of times, and definitely like the fog, I don't know if it's this particular one, but I've seen with the other Silent Hills, it has this like kind of grainy, like,
yeah, there's definitely a little bit of grain in it.
Film look to it, like,
if you're gonna play
to the tension and suspense and
Yeah, and if you're gonna play
cool.
one Silent Hill, I say either play the first one or the second one. Second one's probably the best. First one is really, really up there. It's cool how it's different than Resident Evil, even though it came out at the same time, because Resident Evil was a little more jump scare, run from things scare, whereas this is kind of psychological, things are messed up. One thing in this game that always creeped me out were these little invisible baby ghosts that don't hurt you, they don't do anything, but they make this weird chirping sound, and they just start walking towards you, and they just disappear after a while. And it's just stuff like that I really thought was cool about it. And it's a really good story. Both this and the second one have really good stories and good lore that the game's built on. And I think the first 4 Silent Hills are very good. The Room, which is the 4th one, isn't quite as good, but 1, 2, and 3 are all excellent games. Especially if you let yourself buy into the horror of the game. So
I'm gonna try to play one of those someday.
I'm gonna force her to sit down and play one of these, maybe even for Halloween. So, but that's my first pick.
What I'm gonna talk about now, my first pick is, it's not necessarily Halloween themed, but it is scary. I didn't play through the whole one because this particular game, if you're familiar with any current Bethesda game, you waste like a whole chunk of your life playing these games.
Yes.
I did get through a good enough chunk that I had a pretty good feel of the game. Most of you know the storyline about this. You know it's set in a post-apocalyptic world. You know, that itself is scary. There's lots of cool monsters to defeat, and the cool ghoul.
Yeah, the ghouls.
Yeah,
that's
those
like
guys
definitely
freak me out.
got
They kind of like pop out of nowhere.
Halloween scary feel.
Yeah.
Like there's parts in the game dedicated to little ghouls, a couple of quests and stuff that just I was like, this is legit creepy. And
plus,
definitely worth playing.
You know,
on
the whole
Halloween.
having to survive with minimal stuff, and you know, especially when you start off in the game, you're just kind of thrown out into the world with like
nothing.
Nothing really. Maybe
Whatever
a
you
few
found inside
bottle
the vault.
caps and maybe a stick as a weapon. But other than that, they're like, oh, see ya, and they just throw you out in that world. So that to me is pretty scary. So definitely good Halloween pick.
So my next Halloween game that I picked is classic for both the Genesis and Super Nintendo. I got the Genesis version right here, and that is Zombies Ate My Neighbors. And if you haven't played this game before, it's a really, really fun co-op game, top-down view, where you control two like teen kids that are basically trying to save the rest of the people from their neighborhood from zombies, chainsaw maniacs. But it's really funny too. It's got like, I mean, not like laugh out loud funny, but just like the enemies are just like, one of them was a 40-foot tall baby, and there's cool areas like in a mall and like, you know, neighborhoods. There's one of the early levels in the game is the hedge maze where the guys with chainsaws can cut through the walls to get after you, but really fun, and it's got like kind of this campy humor to it, and music's great. It's got a great title screen too, with like this swirling and the music. It's awesome. You gotta play it. But great Halloween game, and it's 2 players. So if you need to play a good multiplayer game on Halloween, this would be a good choice.
I'm gonna try that. So my second pick, not this whole particular collection. Mostly I'm looking at
Great collection, by the way.
It is a good collection. It's really good. Half-Life 2 Episode 2. That's the particular game I'm looking at. I just obviously it's just on this, but really cool. Kind of again, same thing with Fallout. Like you're just kind of thrown into this world, and it's post-apocalyptic.
Yep.
And one part in particular I'm thinking was when you go through Ravenholm and there's zombie things coming at you, and they make these freaky like. Wah! I can't even recreate that sound.
They're creepy.
Yeah. They're really scary, and you can shoot. Yeah, I get scared easily. I remember I was playing, I was like, oh my god, and I think I just spazzed out when you were controlling him. But yeah, definitely. And there's several moments. Like there's one moment in particular, and it's been a while since I played this, so I can't quite remember. I remember you were like coming out of somewhere, and just this eerie music plays, and isn't there?
I think it's in Ravenholm.
Is it Ravenholm?
Right when you get into Ravenholm.
Yeah.
It's like a violin song plays, but it's also got like this sci-fi,
it's
like synthesizer sound, and it really just sets the tone for that sequence.
Not to mention another thing that scares the boop out of me is G-Man. He just pops out of nowhere. Like 1 minute he's there, and you're looking, and he's off in the distance somewhere, and then you look again, and he's got. It's totally freaking
Good fitting
but
scariness for Halloween.
Good level of scariness, but not so scary like Silent Hill or some of the other ones we'll talk about. But a good level to keep you kind of on your toes and.
It helped switch up the gameplay too, and it was like well good. And there's a couple parts in not just the original Half-Life 2, but the episodes that have like a little bit of a scary theme to them. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good way to incorporate it. And what they did, and they did this in the first Half-Life 2, is the head crabs that are in the game latch onto people and create them, or basically make them into zombies. So zombies, you know, fit any horror or Halloween theme. So very good pick. So the next game that I'm going to show off is launch title for the original Xbox 360. And I say original Xbox 360, like, well, I guess there was the Slim and the other one. So, yes, when the Xbox 360 launched, there was Condemned: Criminal Origins, which is a first-person horror melee combat game. Really, really good atmosphere in this. When I was talking about selling yourself into the world of a horror game. This one, I mean, it's so dark and hard to see, and you're in like abandoned buildings, and there's these bums and creeps and everything that like will come out and scare the living bejesus out of you. And there's some cool like CSI type equipment you can use, and that's the only time you'll ever hear me say cool in CSI in a sentence. But it's a good example of the technology you use in the game. But it's really fun. It ends kind of wonky, but I really liked it. And the main character was voiced by Greg Grunberg, I think is his name. He was in Heroes. He was like the cop guy. So I remember I was watching Heroes at the time. Yeah. So the second one I have, but honestly it changed a lot. The voice actor, the story got a lot darker, and it just didn't feel the same as me. It was going too full on horror. But the first one's a great game. Probably get it really cheap if you can find it. And I think it's a good Halloween pick, so check it out.
Alright, my next pick is not as scary, but still follows the zombie Halloween theme. Plants vs. Zombies. Again, a lot of people have played this. You protect your little home from invasion of zombies with your little plants and flowers and things. So it's very, starts off like kind of easy, and it does rapidly get harder. Really fun, really addicting.
Yep, simple, but genius.
Enough to get you in the Halloween mood and spirit, and, without scaring you and
yes,
making you pee yourself.
Yep, good fun game.
Really fun. Has like a cartoony art style, and it's just fun. I feel happy playing it, even though I'm trying to protect my home from invading zombies.
Yeah.
But this has been on several like DS, PC
or sorry, every phone.
It's been on
the world probably has it.
Yeah. So if you don't know what this game is, I think you're in a game, or you are a zombie.
Oh, burn. So, yeah, good choice. Alright, so my next game I'm going to choose for Halloween special is Alien Trilogy. I got the Saturn version here, but it was also on PlayStation. I think that's it. I don't know if there was a PC port, but this is basically a first-person shooter Doom clone, because up until Half-Life and maybe GoldenEye and all that, most first-person shooters follow the Doom format of going around, unlocking doors. Didn't really control the camera up and down too much. I mean, you kind of a little bit in this, but what's cool is it's based, just like the title says, on the original Alien movies, and it's really loyal to the tone of those movies, at least the horror tone, not the I mean, it's pretty good action too, but you're alone in the game, so it fits more of like the first or maybe the third, even though that's not as good, Alien movie, where it's just that eeriness, and the soundtrack in this is just so good. It's so awesome. When I was a kid and I played this, we used to play like darts with the Nerf guns and stuff, and we'd like turn the lights off in the house and go around like playing hide and seek, and my dad and my nephew and I used to do that, and we put this music on the background just to increase the tension. It's really awesome, and it fits so well. So even though it's a Doom clone, it's pretty like straightforward. If you're into those type of shooters, great game, and it can get pretty intense and scary, and it's very depressing too. Like when you kids like the movies, you get to the levels of the people who have chest bursters in them and stuff, and it's just grim.
It's cool. It's not too often you come across a game that's true to the movie. So
good. I think it's a good licensed game. Is it a great game? Probably not, but it's not bad. It plays great, and it has cool little cinema clips and stuff in it. So good Halloween pick. I think I'm gonna actually probably play this one on Halloween because I've played it in a long time, and it's got great music. I can't stress it enough. So check it out.
All right, next one I'm going to talk about to go along with my shirt that I have going on here, Left 4 Dead. I also have Left 4 Dead 2. Again, a lot of you have probably played this, but this is seriously one of my favorite. I don't know how many hours I played this with you and Karen and Zach and our family. Yeah, it's better to play with multiplayer. It's not the same if you're playing it alone. It's fun, but playing with other people, it's just and the teamwork that goes into it. You get, I don't know, it's so cool because you strategize like, okay, there's a witch like chilling over here. We gotta sneak up on her. You sneak up for her. Like it's just I don't know. Like I think this is one of the few games that was just definitely
probably one of my top 3 favorite co-op games.
Yeah.
I mean it's got so many different types of enemies. Not so many, but like there's the zombie horde and then there's the special type. She mentioned like the witch earlier. There's a tank. Smoker, and the second one added a few more different types of characters. Boomers are awesome. So
witches are my favorite.
If you play these games with friends, you're gonna have a blast. And the versus mode where you could beat zombies against the survivors is
and you know as many times because the story is fairly short in these games, but the gameplay itself always seems to be changing because there's always different stuff that happens. Either even though there's like the same places, like there's gonna be a horde, and you know, like in the same place there's gonna be a witch, or you're gonna come across a boomer or something. Like little things change, like based on what the players do, and it's just it's a different experience.
Yeah, so one spot that might have had a specific zombie type when you play one time, he might come out from another door, and so like you can't just do the same thing every time. So it's like infinitely replayable. It's very very random. Even though the level set is pretty solid, it just switches up little details that makes it like so replayable. Probably one of my favorite games of this generation.
Oh, absolutely. And
sure.
Another great case of like environment stuff. I know not so much this one. The second one utilized it more with like the weather conditions. Like
so good.
I remember there was a couple levels where it was just pouring. It was pretty scary because you can't find each other, and you're trying to find each other, and then there's a witch that comes out of nowhere and she's like, "Wah!" just clawing at you, or you get like grabbed by a smoker and you're being dragged all the way. And you're like, oh, and you hope your teammates can find you. So I could go on forever on this game. It's really
great
awesome.
game. Second one's probably better on all fronts. They just improved little things, but they're both incredibly
really
fun.
Awesome.
So
good
check
Halloween game.
Great game. Okay, so the next game I chose for Halloween is Maximo Ghosts to Glory, and it's a fun little game where if you've ever played Ghosts and Goblins, Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, it's got the vibe of those games. It's pretty tough, not quite as tough as like Super Ghouls and Ghosts or the original Ghosts and Goblins, but it's clearly a spiritual successor to those games. It's got some of the music hidden in there from them, but like rearranged. Some similar looking areas, enemies and stuff, but it plays like it'll be like a Jack and Daxter-esque 3D platformer. Really fun. It's got great artwork, great character design, enemy design, and it's really fun. It came out right in the middle of that PS2, like hitting on all cylinders with platformers. You had the Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank series, and then a lot of like Sly Cooper. And then there was a lot of like lesser known but still really good ones. And I think Maximo is one of the greatest on PS2. So there was a sequel I never played. I never played the demo of it, but yeah, really good game. It is pretty tough. I remember playing it a little bit this year because I haven't played it in a long time, and still like held up really great. Just go in knowing that there's going to be a bit of a challenge, but it's not brutally hard. It's fair difficulty. It's challenging, but not frustrating. Awesome game. No, it's not like a Demon's Souls or Dark Souls game, but you still should play those. Almost picked those for my Halloween video, but I figure at this point I should probably beat them before I make a comment on those. So that's why I didn't pick those. So good game. Check it out.
The next game in my selection, again, not completely Halloween themed, but still scary.
Got some thematic.
Exactly. There's so much argument about that. What's the best Zelda, and so many people for some reason that I've talked to don't like Majora's Mask.
Because they're stupid.
Sorry. Majora's Mask, I really, really liked. Technically, I didn't beat it. I know I haven't seen it, but I got pretty far. I saw the end. I know. But it's scary if you haven't played it in the Zelda series. Definitely check it out. It's dark. It is a little bit scary. There's just this very eerie tone.
Creepy. Yeah.
Like the music between some of the stuff that happens. It's just, I don't want to spoil what happens if you haven't played it. But at this point, if you haven't played it, then boo on you.
Yeah.
Get it. Halloween joke.
Ooh.
But pretty much you have 3 days. There's this giant moon thing that's coming down, and it's got this creepy face, and it's gonna crash into the world and blow up. And so that right there is pretty dark.
Yes.
You know, coming from Ocarina of Time, which had its moments, but as far as mood and themes and stuff, like this deals with a lot.
This is the darkest
stuff.
Zelda, I'd say. But you gotta play it.
It's awesome.
Give it a chance.
It's really, really cool, and you know, don't listen to what other people say about it. If you want to play it, you should play it because it's worth it.
I'll give you this. Time limits in games aren't my favorite thing. I don't like. I want to be able to explore. I want to be able to do stuff. But with this game, it was so built around it that they crafted certain things that you could only get if they put this 3-day schedule in it. And one of those things is that out of any Zelda game, this has the most robust world of characters because every non-playable character in the game has a schedule. Similar to like now like games like Skyrim and stuff do that with their townsfolk, you know, walking around doing things. I think this does it. It's a little more rigid, like it's the same thing every time, but there's so many quests built around where people are at certain times of day that the time on it doesn't really matter because you're going to just go back and reset the time so many times.
What is it you said earlier this week? You were talking to someone about this, and you said you pretty much make time your bitch.
You make time your bitch because when it starts, I was like, oh, wow, this time limit.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
But you get past these certain thresholds, and you're like, oh, now I can slow down time, so the 3 days aren't as fast as they were. And then now I can do this to manipulate the timer. Oh, okay, now I can do this, or I can skip ahead, or I can go back. Alright, and then you start to get, like, okay, the time limit isn't really a problem because you'll get all this stuff done, reset the time, and now you have the whole 3-day cycle to beat the dungeon. And it's like, okay, now that's definitely enough time to do it. So, give it a chance, try it with an open mind. If you have to get a strategy guide with it, do that because it's got so much content. It's a good game to 100%, which I did, and there's good rewards for 100%ing it. So check it out. One of my favorite games of all time, definitely worth checking out. So good choice. And the Halloween theme goes beyond the creepiness factor. The whole game is built around Majora's Mask, and there's so many masks.
Halloween masks.
You change your costumes, and it gives you different powers. You can become a Zora, a Deku plant, and a Goron. So and a bunch of other ones.
There's a bunch of other masks
and there's quests tied to some of them. So it's one of the most content-rich Zelda games, and sadly, not many people have played it. I'm still crossing my fingers for a 3DS remake. I know it might not happen, but they've been dropping hints. They know people want it. We'll see if they do it. But if it's anything like the Ocarina of Time one remake they did, that'd be awesome. So it'd be a good chance for people to check it out.
Check it out if you haven't.
Great
holiday. I beg of you.
Yes, we're begging you.
Please.
Okay, so my last choice is a game that's on PC, PS3, and Xbox, and it's funny because I'm picking it for the Halloween episode because it's technically a horror game and stuff, but I think it's just a really fun game overall, and that is Fear, which is First Encounter Assault Recon is the group you are in it, but it's a first-person shooter with excellent gunplay. It's got bullet time, so you can slow down time, and this game has one of the best shotguns you'll ever play. It's got power, it's got punch, but peppered throughout the game is technically a horror story, which is really cool because unlike, it's not beating you in the face with it, like this is scary. It has jump scares.
That's what's scary about it, is that it doesn't it's not like constant scare. It has these little moments and these little bloops of scariness that freak the shit out of me, pardon my language, but it's terrifying. I will not play this game.
She doesn't even play it.
I won't even watch him play these games. I have, but I can't sit there because I think everything's fine and normal, and then Alma's like popping out of
it's got the
nowhere. Like one minute she's here, and the next minute she's like. The next minute she's popping out like that, and you're like, holy shit! And it's terrifying, and I can't do it. But it's cool, and obviously it's effective if it freaks me out like that.
But that's what I like, is it juggles it between constantly like having action and shoot 'em ups and everything, and then it has those little scary things. But underneath the scariness and everything, like I just like the plot. Like it's subtle, it's not very in your face, but you start to learn the backstory of why these creepy things are happening, and it's kind of cool. And the second one is pretty good too. Didn't play as well, I didn't think. I mean, the graphics were great, and it had some good scare moments, and the story was continued well. But I thought it didn't have the good gunplay the first one. So
I don't want to spoil anything, but I do recall the story gets a little freaky in the second one. I'll just leave it at that.
Freaky.
But it's weird, but it's cool. Again, someday maybe I'll be brave enough.
Well, here's why. Here's why.
I chickened out by games that freak out.
First Fear, I got the expansion Fear Files. I beat that, and then Fear 2, I put the demo, liked it, got that real cheap, and that was a great game, even though it didn't quite match the greatness of the first one, I thought. And then the third one came out, which we bought, haven't played too much yet. I just started it real quick when I first bought it. It's got co-op, so maybe with the co-op mode, Megan can finally dip her feet in the game. She won't be as scared. For me, though, it's kind of disappointing because that whole getting absorbed into the scariness of a game won't happen to me if I'm playing co-op. That's why I thought Resident Evil 5. Oh, yeah, how could I be scared when Megan's here to protect me? So that's one thing, is I'm kind of not looking forward to playing the third one because it was built around co-op, and I think Resident Evil 5 and 6 aren't as good horror games. I didn't really play 6 much, I'll admit, but to me, the fear of games like this is, the solitude of being alone. So, I don't know, I'll try to finish the trilogy, and hopefully it's decent, at least to play, so maybe Megan will play with me.
So joining us for our last Halloween video game installment is Kiki, who is awesome. She's our black cat.
She's our black cat, so it's very Halloween
themed. So she was meowing earlier. You probably will hear her in the background meowing. So she wanted to be a part of our video.
So here she is.
So here she is, just hanging out. Okay, so moving on to our last game. This is my absolute favorite game. It took me a while to find this, and then once I found it, I saw it everywhere. I played this growing up, Medieval.
Great.
Really, really awesome game, and obviously very perfectly fits the Halloween theme. I don't know how many of you have played this game, but you're Sir Daniel Fortescue. You're this knight that comes back to life. You died in this great war however many years ago, and you get brought back to life to save the world from impending doom. That
old
storyline, but really awesome. Just whimsical, like the characters and the voices. It's like if you took, I don't know. It reminds me too of like Harry Potter, kind of.
It's like Harry Potter and Nightmare Before Christmas, like the vibes.
Yeah.
Music is a part of that. Like the music is incredible in those games, and the first two anyway.
Yeah.
And
it's an awesome game. They did come out with a second one shortly thereafter. I didn't get a chance to play it. Really, I can't even really find it. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, it's out there. It's out there. Hard to find, but one we gotta get eventually.
I definitely want to get the second one and play it, but this first one always will have a special place in my heart. I mean, it reminds me of such an awesome time in my life as a child, and this is one of the first games I played on PS1. First games I played, pretty much ever growing up, like besides the Mario games and stuff. But this was like, when I got to play this, I was like, oh, so it's so cool, and I could go on and on and on about how much I love this game, but it's definitely my favorite Halloween pick.
Very fitting for it's just the whole vibe is like perfect for Halloween. Probably if of all these games, if you could pick one Halloween game, that would be a great one to play.
Yeah.
And there's our Black Cat. Black Cat walked by. I got a 7 years bad luck or whatever it is. So.
Sorry, I had to add that in.
That's our Halloween video for you.
I told you there'd be tricks or treats popping up in the video. That was it.
I don't know if that was a trick or a treat. But Medieval.
Medieval.
Great game.
Play it if you haven't. Awesome, awesome game.
We hope you liked our video. So does Kiki. And she's gonna like catch on fire on video. But here. Alright, so technical difficulties aside due to our cat, we hope you liked this video. We just picked, it was random games from each of us that, we thought would fit the Halloween theme.
Absolutely.
There's plenty more we could talk about, so maybe next year.
Next year, of course.
But
for now, have an awesome, fun Halloween.
yeah, definitely.
Play some cool zombie games with your friends, or dress up like a zombie.
Yes, and let us know if you play any of these games that you haven't played before, what you think of them, or if there's some Halloween games of your preference that you want us to check out. Let us know. We'll definitely check them out.
Definitely.
So we will see you next time.
Thanks for watching.